Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bren podcast, episode 65. Can you believe this? For those of you who may not know me, I founded Warrior Moms by Bren when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. I was a new mom. I was devastated. I didn't know if I would crawl out of that pit of despair and depression. But let me tell you, a decade later, we've walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place, and you can too. And why do I say that? Because your story matters. Hear me. Your story matters. And we are here to let you know you are not alone and you have a purpose and calling. Here at Warrior Moms by Bren, we walk in purpose and champion our calling. And we have an amazing guest tonight. We have Miss Dr. Mandy, help me out. Kedia Popoulos. I'm so sorry. I love it. We're gonna say Dr. K, and she has a warrior story and a half. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to bring this back into how we take theory to application and we have it stack, and we help others crawl out of that pit of despair and depression. Dr. Mandy, please share with us a little bit about you. Where are you from? How did you end up where you are?
My name is Mandy. I was born and raised in Clearwater, Florida. Went to high school there, graduated, didn't know really what I wanted to do. I started at a community college, worked at a pharmacy, which fate would have it, I met my husband there. I did some college for pharmacy, and then pretty soon we recognized we wanted to get married and have family and wanted to get out of the hustle and bustle of Florida. So we moved to a small town in Virginia, great town, outside of Pittsburgh. And I went to pharmacy school and
wow. So you met your husband working at the pharmacy?
Yeah. He was pursuing his doctorate in pharmacy at the time, and I worked there as a technician, and we met that way.
Oh, that's incredible. And so you guys are of a like mind, obviously. And
Yes.
you decided to start a family right away, or did you wait a little bit? How did that timing work?
Well, if you asked me, it'd be a different answer. I knew within 2 weeks when I met him, we were going to get married and have children. I think for him it took a little while, but yeah, we got married pretty much. We moved here in 2010 and got married in 2012, so it's pretty quick.
Oh, that's incredible. Now I know you're just a few hours outside of Pittsburgh. You grew up in Florida. Now you have a doctorate in pharmacy. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And I'm a warrior mom. I'm not a medical person. You can call me Dr. Mom. So props to all of your training and all of your expertise. Now, how long were you practicing before you started a family, or did you start the family first?
So I started family first. I actually had a 2-year-old starting grad school, and then I had my second child, my second year of grad school, and had my third child the 2 or 3 days before graduation. So it was a busy few years.
That is busy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now, when you were growing up, did you always know that you would be in the medical field?
No, actually, it's funny. I thought I'd be a lawyer. I'm an Aries, so I thought I'd be a lawyer. Then I thought I was going to be an interior designer. Then I'd be a cook. I mean, I've never really been able to sit still and settle on one thing. But pharmacy, I never left. So my husband basically had been a pharmacist for a while, and he's like, "Hey, you're not leaving this job. Like, you might as well just go do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Maybe I won't hate it." So I took his advice. He's a little more level-headed. So
Isn't that funny how opposites attract?
big time.
It's true for us too. And we're like, wow, I have this skill set. You have none of that skill set, but we balance each other out.
Yes.
Now, your children were also impacted by a medical misstep or two. And
Yes.
when someone says they have a doctorate in pharmacy, can you put that in sort of layman's terms so we know exactly what that is?
Yeah, so 2 years, you go 2 years of undergrad to get an associate in science usually. Some people will go on to get their bachelor's in various things, chemistry usually, sometimes biology, I
Hmm.
did biology, and then you go on to get a doctorate. So it's a fast track. It used to be 8 years. It's down to 6 now to
Oh,
what's called a PharmD, which is a doctorate of pharmacology.
oh, see, I love that from 8 years to six. That's
Yeah,
amazing. And it sounds like you were also very busy raising a family and bringing
yes.
new life into the world. And did you guys practice right away? Do you work for a corporation? You don't have to tell me the name. I'm just trying to get a feel for once you get a doctorate of pharmacy, what happens next?
Oh, yeah. You practice right away. So you have 3 years of didactic. It's a little different than if you go to be a physician. You have 1 year of didactic and then 3 years of on-the-job training. In pharmacy, you do 3 years of didactic because there's a million medications to learn. Then you do a year of on-the-job training that's still considered school, and then you have the opportunity to go on to do further training, like residency training, if you want to.
Hmm?
And then you practice, or you could practice right away.
So when you're studying in traditional medicine to become a PharmD, doctorate of pharmacy, I'm certain that there's a protocol that vaccines and all the immunizations are just expected. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're required actually to get a slew of them. Anything that you'd be required to go to university for. Usually a few more. Every time you go to a new setting, any vaccine at that hospital would require, if you're on rotation there, you're studying
Mhm.
with, a certain preceptor there, anything at that hospital would be required, you would need to get as well.
Oh wow, that's a lot of that's a lot of shots. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
we here are not bashing any school of thought, but I would like to peel back the layers if that's okay with you and dive into your story. When you were pregnant with each child, you were required to continue the vaccine schedule, correct?
So the vaccine schedule while you're pregnant, they did not require anything outside of Tdap when I was pregnant.
Mhm.
Everything else I was up to date on. You kind of get boosted right before you start pharmacy school as a requirement to even enter into the program. And then from there, it's kind of boosters. You are required to get the yearly flu shot. So I got the flu shot while I was pregnant. And there's one of them now. Sorry. But yeah, so I did get Tdap. I was required to get a flu shot during pregnancy, but those are the only ones I recall during the pregnancy.
Okay. And did you have any adverse effects, or was that years later that you realized it?
So I had Tdap with all three pregnancies. Willingly got that. The doctor recommended it. Obviously,
Right.
the school was requiring it. And they tell you that it's going to protect against pertussis. So the P in Tdap stands for pertussis. That if the idea is if you're pregnant, you get Tdap, you are passing the antibodies on to the baby so that when the baby's born, if somebody exposes that baby to pertussis, they won't be sick, or if they do, it'll be a lot less chance of hospitalization or death from it. So I recently got it because, I went to pharmacy school. We were taught that it's the greatest thing you can do for your child. So I did get it. I didn't know at the time. I developed what they thought at the time was Crohn's disease
Oh,
during my first pregnancy, soon after receiving Tdap. But I found out actually not even a few months ago that it was actually scleroderma that I developed,
oh,
which yeah, so scleroderma is it's an autoimmune disease where your body kind of attacks mostly skin for me, thankfully. In severe cases, it could be a lung, heart, skin. There's a lot of things that can go into that. I had two boosters from then, so for me, it was just skin related.
right.
So I did develop that. I did not know that at the time because my oldest is 10 now, and I just discovered that a few months ago.
Right. Right. Very, we are, thank you for sharing your story. And we are hearing stories much like this each week here at Warrior Moms. And it's not easy, but you are built for hard things, as you know, as a mom and a medical professional. What's one of the things that may have happened for your children through all of this?
So my youngest child, born healthy 9 pounder, a few weeks early. All my kids were early; they were big babies. She was 9 pounds even, healthy, perfect baby. Um, Took her home, normal baby, sleeps, like you'd expect.
Right.
Around her 6 month vaccine time, we do all the scheduled protocol, all the vaccines that
Right.
they required for both daycare and that they recommended, and we were all for them at the time. I had no idea of anything. So we got them, and I'd say within about a month or two, things started to get strange. But she started to vomit,
Mm.
and not what we expected. She was eating normal. She was completely breastfed. There was no solids introduced at this time. She was exclusively breastfed at this time. And in the middle of the night, usually 2 to 3 in the morning, she slept between my husband and I. Would wake up vomiting and
Mm.
projectile vomiting pretty badly. And there would be some blood in her stool. Her stool started looking strange. So of course I get her into the pediatrician
Right.
who sends her to the GI doctor for pediatrics. We took her there. They said that I think the first diagnosis we had was a milk allergy. It's very common for children to have blood in their stool during a milk allergy. So I'm like, well, she's breastfed. And they said, so cut it out of your diet. So we went completely dairy free. Um, it worked for me maybe 2 weeks, and then it started getting progressively closer together. So we went back to GI specialists. They said, okay, it's actually the milk protein, it's not lactose. So anything that contains milk protein needs to be cut out. So that's a slew of other foods, basically. So we're
Right.
eating a very strict diet at this point. Yeah. Um, the stools at this point are still bloody. They're becoming more concerning. I remember one stool that almost looked like there may have been what looked like worms. That I rushed in there. It wasn't. It was white blood cells that were going to the area. The nights that we had them when it started out was maybe once a week. It started to be every other day, and then at one point it was daily. And then it got progressively worse to where she would projectile vomit, and then she would get this blank look on her face, almost like there's nobody home, and would just stare straight ahead.
Mm.
We took her to the ER at our teaching hospital, so a large
Right.
hospital here. Um, they're not sure what the cause is at this point. They want us at one point told us she may be having absence seizures, and a lot of children will display this activity of like a blank stare, staring straight ahead, no energy, and sometimes that will trigger vomiting. So they're thinking she's having a seizure and then vomiting. So they sent us home with medication for that. That thankfully I never started in her. It progressively got worse. I went back to GI multiple times. At that point, they said she's completely allergic to your breast milk and you're going to have to stop breastfeeding, which for me kind of plunged me into a little bit of a depression because anytime you're told that your milk is hurting your baby and has
Right.
been for at this point 6 months, it was a very depressing situation to be in.
Right.
Um,
Right.
at this point, she's almost a year old, so we're moving into cow's milk territory. We had her allergy tested. If you're familiar with that, they do a bunch of squares on her back and prick her skin with all kinds of different things. She's allergic to almost everything they gave her at this point. Some of the things they were pricking her with, they were told us that she was allergic to, I knew that she wasn't allergic to. Um, at one point, they told me to make a food diary. We did that. It seemed like every time she was eating chicken, which is pretty common in our household, that it
Mhm.
was happening. So they told me she was allergic to chicken at one point. It came to a head so badly. My husband, to give you some of his background, is raised in a Greek family where nothing's ever wrong with their kids, and
Right.
so I'll help you break loose in this house, for lack of a better word. My husband's like, oh, it's fine. They'll be fine. Rusty nail in the heel. Oh, I'll put a Band-Aid on it, no problem. And I come from a total different side of the world. So this whole time I feel like, the pressure of this is on me. Well, as this kept going on, my husband was getting progressively more concerned.
Uh-huh.
One night it got so bad, she's vomiting so badly, she's losing weight at this point.
Oh.
She's vomiting so badly, she can barely catch her breath. My husband got worried. He's like, we need to take her to the ER again. We take her to our local ER where they tell us same thing. She's got a food allergy. We just got to figure out what it is. She could have failure to thrive. At this point, she's a year old. And that I knew that was just not correct. I'm like, "No, this is not my first rodeo, it's my 3rd child. She doesn't have
Right.
failure threat. She eats wonderfully, she's a normal kid until these episodes kick in."
Right.
A few nights later, it happens again, and we were like, "You know what? We're going to a different hospital." So we drove about an hour and a half into the mountains to a very small hospital that we had not been to yet, that my husband had recently acquired a job at. Thank the Lord, we got an ER physician there who had 57 years of experience, and we told him our whole story. And he took one look at her and he said, "Hey, there's a very rare condition. There's a very rare intestine. It's like a tube that kaleidoscopes in on itself, and they'll vomit profusely when that happens, and it's painful and exhausting. And then it pops back out if you're lucky, and then the episode's over. And so there's nothing to test for. So if you take him to the ER at that time, there's nothing to see on any of the imaging."
Right.
He's like, she's in an active episode right now. She was still vomiting when he brought her in. He said it is diagnosed and also treated with this specific type of enema. If it's not that, it won't hurt her. And we're like, "Yes, please, anything you can do." He did that enema and it was God sent. She was completely normal within minutes. She never had another episode after, knock on wood. It's been several years now and she has not had another episode since. But that physician was the one that said, like, this, "What caused this? What is this?" And he said that it is an extremely documented as an extremely rare side effect of pretty much every vaccine on the market.
Wow.
Blowing our minds because at this point it had been 6 months since our last vaccines. So from the education standpoint of a pharmacist, like, oh no, that vaccine's long gone. No way, no way. But then lo and behold, her symptoms were gone. I go to my next pediatrician visit. He says, "Well, she's due for all of her booster shots." And I'm like, "Well, I was told by an ER physician that this very likely could have been the cause of her cystocil." And he didn't disagree with that. He said, "Yeah, it's an extremely rare side effect." He also told me that it's a genetic susceptibility. If one child has it, there's a good possibility that your others will as well. My first two children never had this significant of a reaction. So he felt that this was not the cause and said that the guidelines said we should retrial at least one more time. My husband and I were both not wanting to do that. At that point, we made the decision right there that that'll never happen. And since then, have made the decision that no vaccines will enter into our household with any of our children because we're just lucky. We're lucky that she survived it. A lot of children, once I went down the rabbit hole of this particular side effect, many children on the very first occasion, their bowel will puncture and it is a 50% chance of death or higher. So
Wow.
she had, hundreds of episodes before over a 6-month period. So I'm just, God had her because she's,
Wow.
by those statistics shouldn't be here.
Amen. What a powerful journey. I am so sorry you guys experienced that. I am so blessed to hear your story and how you stood in the gap and became her advocate.
Yeah.
So, bravo to you, Warrior Mom.
Thank
Bravo.
you.
Yeah, and we are, for those of you who may not know what we're doing, we're talking about warrior moms and our stories. And medical injury is more common for us. It's 1 in 36 are diagnosed. Now, with on the autism spectrum, and this is one of those things where I don't know what are the statistics on this condition as a side effect listed. What's the insert called, or the is not the PDR, but it's something else.
The patient insert, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And like 1 in 100,000 kids have this as a side effect? I don't know.
It says less than 0.01 for this particular condition that my daughter has. However, I'm a mom of 3 children. I wouldn't say that I have a huge friend population because I'm so busy and I have a full-time job and a per
Right.
diem job on top of that. And I have 2 friends whose children went through the exact same thing. So I know that statistically, less than 0.01 is
Right.
an accurate number, and that's strictly my opinion, just based off of I know 2 other mothers that have went through the same thing.
Wow. Hear us, warrior moms. You're not alone. That's what we want you to hear right now. right here, right now. And I love that you can say, I don't think point zero 0.01 is accurate. And we agree with you. And I just want to say bravo to you and your husband for taking a stand and standing in the gap and finding the answers. Sometimes we feel like we're on almost a murder mystery because we're trying to figure out what is causing all of these symptoms. And we just don't take no for an answer. Our favorite thing is who says what's the workaround? And we do ASL to learn new words in our house. So if you guys are on the live, put an L. If you're on the replay, put an R. And if you're getting value, let us know in the comments. Mandy, we appreciate you sharing your story so much. And we do have a
Yeah.
Warrior Moms Masterclass coming up. We would love to have you guys join us. And I will put the link in the chat when we're finished and we post this as a reel. It's June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to unleash your inner badass by crushing our goals, protecting our boundaries, and walking in purpose. I know that you have been through quite a bit with your daughter and finding out that your training may not be as black and white as once thought. Now you're still practicing medicine. You're standing in the gap and being an advocate for your daughter and the experiences that she had, the side effects. Now, what does life look like now? What are two positive changes that may have come from your journey in this experience?
For me, obviously, a large part of my profession is vaccinating patients. Really, it's opened my eyes to the fact that some of the stuff my patients were telling me, I got sick last time, it caused this, it caused that. It wasn't just an instant dismissal that, oh, that's not the case. My husband and I both actually went as far as to drop our vaccine licenses. We take an oath when we become pharmacists to do no harm. So after it's gone on with my child, I have to feel the benefits gonna outweigh the risk. And at this time, my husband and I, neither one of us feel that way. So life for us is no longer vaccinating. So that's a plus for both of us that we're blessed enough to be in positions that we're able to do that. A lot of pharmacists
Right.
wouldn't have that ability to do that. You would lose your job. I
Wow.
work for a wonderful physician now. So yeah.
Oh, yes. What a blessing. And that you guys can share your truth with others. And listen,
Yeah.
guys, we understand if you haven't been affected by vaccine injury, that this could be a little bit out there. We're asking for you to receive and keep an open mind. We have both walked through this, and we know that if vaccine injury happens more frequently than the data suggests, 0.01, we know that there are other people who need to hear the story. So please share Mandy's story. Please share it. We need to get this word out there. So, do you guys do as a family? Do you have more family quality time now that everyone's healthy?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, my youngest has fully recovered, so she's doing wonderfully. She won't rebound in size. She's very small for her size. For at least for our family, she's small, especially being a 9 pounder. But she's just a small little petite ball of energy now. And
Oh,
yeah, I wake up and go to sleep every day knowing that my children, we haven't tried to fix something that's not broken. Their bodies are completely able to heal and live and fix things that come their way. So, yes.
right. And do you guys follow a certain protocol for nutrition or daily habits?
We're new into that. We have gone down zero GMO, trying to eat
Hmm.
clean. We're very blessed here to have local farms, so we get a
Oh,
lot of. I will eat vaccinated meat now. Um, Anything that has things I can't pronounce, I try not to eat. So
right.
we cook at home 90% of the time. We try to shield any way we can. I won't eat things that have antibiotics. Really, any pharmaceuticals have been injected into the food we're consuming. So we try to stay away from anything like that.
We do too. And when I heard this the first time, I'm like, what do you mean? And we love that we can buy local. And you are so blessed to be in a position to be able to do that.
Yes.
I know a lot of people, thank you so much again. I know a lot of people may have questions. Where can we find you on social media so they can reach out?
On Facebook, it's Mandy Kediakopoulos, spelled like the bottom corner of my name there. And on Instagram, it's Specialer K. My husband's Special K, so I'm
Oh,
Specialer K.
oh, very clever. Very clever. And we will put those links in the comments when we post the reel also. And if you are listening to this at a different time, know that you can always reach out to us. I'm at Win with Bren and Bren Harris on IG and on Facebook. And we just love that you guys are here. We are streaming across multiple platforms. So don't worry if there's only a handful of people where you are. And please let us know how we can help you, and please connect us with others that want to tell their story. Mandy, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, and it just means the world. And please hug your family for us. We feel like kindred spirits now.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let us know that you got value, and we're going to post this as a reel as soon as we get off of here, and we will put all the information in the comments. Remember, be authentic, legendary, and unapologetically you. We'll see you in a few.